Welcome back to Rainbow Nation Radio, where we explore South Africa through American eyes. I'm Chris.
And I'm Jessica. Today we're revisiting a channel we've discussed before, Citizen Concerned and its host, Katlego. This time they've doubled down on their harmful rhetoric, targeting Black South Africans in an astonishingly deceitful and divisive manner.
Katlego's latest video opens with an outrageous statement. Neighborhoods go down the drain when Black people move in.
Do you know how you can usually tell that this exact lifestyle is coming to a neighborhood near you? Brace yourself, I'm going to say it. You base it on the number of Black people residing in the area. The more Black people enter a space, the more likely they are to bring this lifestyle into the neighborhood. It sounds wrong, doesn't it? It sounds wrong, doesn't it?
It sounds wrong, doesn't it?
This is not just a shocking proclamation, but a strategically chosen opening line designed to frame the entire narrative of the video. By starting with such a blatant generalization, Katlego sets a divisive tone that positions Black residents as inherently problematic from the outset. This calculated choice of words lays the groundwork for a narrative that seeks to shift blame away from systemic factors, like apartheid-era spatial planning, inadequate municipal services, and entrenched socioeconomic inequalities, onto individuals, specifically Black communities. The boldness of this statement is deliberate, aiming to immediately align with racist stereotypes while masquerading as a hard truth to hook viewers into a narrative riddled with bias. Let's pause there for a moment. That's not just an opinion, it's a brazenly racist assertion. Jessica, what do you make of this opening?
It's horrifying, Chris. Statements like that don't just reflect personal prejudice. They're strategically chosen to frame the entire narrative of the video, planting the idea that Black people are inherently destructive.
Apparently, this is Black culture. Apparently, this is the identity of Black people. According to some Black people, this is who we are. The way they see it, we simply just like togetherness with loud music, public drinking, and debauchery. Premarital sex often resulting in unwanted and unplanned pregnancies, littering, drunk driving, missing work the next day due to babalas. Then when you are not promoted, or worse, when you are fired, you blame your unemployment and poverty on everything else apart from yourself and your destructive lifestyle.
This is not only offensive, but deeply calculated, serving as a cornerstone of white supremacist ideology while setting a divisive tone that perpetuates systemic racism in South Africa's historical and social dynamics. But what really strikes me is the calculated nature of her rhetoric. By framing her words as observational, she's attempting to lend an air of neutrality and intellectualism to deeply harmful ideas, appealing to audiences who might mistake her tone for objectivity.
Do you know why it sounds wrong? It sounds wrong not because it's not true. It sounds wrong because a few of us who do not like this lifestyle and speak out against it are considered to be self-hating Blacks. It sounds wrong because white people who are against this lifestyle and verbalize it are considered to be racist.
This approach gives the false appearance of credibility, making her rhetoric more insidious and dangerous by masking overt prejudice as reasonable critique. It's like a wolf in sheep's clothing. Dangerous because it's so insidious.
And then she follows up by playing clips of what appears to be a busy township street during the festive season in a KwaZulu-Natal township called KwaMashu. People are seated outside enjoying music and drinks. Nothing alarming happens in these videos, yet she frames them as evidence of debauchery and the supposed downfall of communities.
This area here is called KwaMashu. Guys, this is a place where people will be sleeping next door, resting up for the next day of work. This type of nonsense is going unpunished, and time again, we have people entering communities, buying up houses and turning them into shebeens and clubs right in residential places where people are trying to raise their children in a good way.
It's a textbook example of twisting a narrative to fit an agenda. Jessica, why do you think she's doing this?
It's all about control and misdirection. By framing everyday scenes of joy and socializing as indicators of societal decay, she's pushing a narrative that blames individuals rather than addressing systemic failures. And then there's the loaded comparison. She juxtaposes these clips with predominantly white suburbs as if to say, look how much better life is without Black people.
Another comment says, when they say leave guise, they mean this, right? Guise means the township. And we're not leaving the township because, we think we're better or better than you or whatever. We think we have made it. If guise had the things that we want or we are looking for in the suburbs or wherever people choose to go to, then there would be no reason to leave. But you are behaving in a way that repels people. And when they leave, you want to blame them and say, they're acting like coconuts, they're acting like this and that. Maybe if you change the way you are behaving, we'd all stay in the same places. We wouldn't always be rushing to the next Sandton, rushing to the next Cape Town, rushing to the next this or that, right?
But she ignores the glaring disparities created by systemic inequality. What do you think drives such selective storytelling, Chris?
I think it's deliberate gaslighting. By ignoring apartheid-era spatial planning, such as policies that segregated neighborhoods by race, systemic neglect, and the lack of equitable resources like adequate housing and infrastructure, she's scapegoating marginalized communities. These structural failures were deliberately designed to disempower Black South Africans, yet she conveniently shifts the blame onto individuals rather than addressing these deeper issues. And it's not just unfair, it's dangerous.
We should be so determined and focused to make life better for ourselves. When the apartheid government came in, they were so focused and determined to make life better for their white or Afrikaner community, right? They experienced some suffering with the British. And now they're in power and they're like, we are going to make life better for our Afrikaner community. Why can't we as Black people do the same?
What really gets me, though, are the Twitter comments she reads. They're supposedly from Black South Africans agreeing with her. But Jessica, we've looked into this. Those accounts are likely fake. What's your take on that?
Oh, absolutely. It's digital blackface, using fake profiles to mimic Black voices and lend false credibility to racist rhetoric. For instance, these accounts often adopt stereotypical language or avatars to appear authentic while promoting harmful narratives.
Let's check out some comments from the people under this. Tepper Diamond says, white business interests are so safe. I wouldn't stress if I was them. Blacks are too useless and the future is not getting brighter.
Blacks are too useless and the future is not getting brighter.
I agree. White business interests are so safe.
White business interests are so safe.
This tactic not only undermines genuine Black voices, but also serves as a calculated effort to manipulate public perception, making it appear as though there's widespread support for her divisive views. It's as if they're saying, even Black people agree with us, which is both manipulative and deeply unethical.
Another comment says, ungavele uthi ngizenza ngcono for choosing suburbs over lokishini. It's fine. This here is nonsense. So this person is saying that you can say that I'm trying to act better or making myself better than you by choosing suburbs over townships, but it's fine. This here is nonsense. And that's what I said earlier.
These manufactured comments are part of a calculated effort to stoke division while dodging accountability. But Chris, doesn't it make you wonder about the team behind Katlego? She's clearly not acting alone.
Exactly. Katlego herself is a Black woman, which might seem counterintuitive, but it's part of the strategy. By using a Black host to disseminate this rhetoric, the team behind Citizen Concern creates a veneer of authenticity and shields themselves from accusations of racism. It's a tactic we've seen before in media and politics worldwide. Jessica, doesn't this make her role even more troubling?
It does. It's one thing to spew hate under the guise of commentary, but to use someone's identity as a shield makes it insidious on another level. And let's not forget the language she uses. Words like debauchery and chaos are meant to pathologize Black joy and culture.
This is black culture. This is the identity of black people. The way they see it, we simply just like togetherness with loud music, public drinking, and debauchery. Another says black people and the culture of littering their surroundings, they are the best.
They are the best.
It's a deliberate attempt to stigmatize behaviors that are normal across all cultures, but she frames them as uniquely problematic among Black South Africans.
Premarital sex often resulting in unwanted and unplanned pregnancies, littering, drunk driving, missing work the next day due to babalas, broken families when we sleep with every Tom, Dick and Harry we meet at the Groove, at the club, at the Shebeen.
I'm Lily Paulette and today I'm getting ran through by 100 guys.
People call me anything. Star, escort, OnlyFans girl, anything really, I don't really care.
It sounds wrong, doesn't it?
Having been involved in the world of YouTube content creation for 10 years, I've witnessed some extreme measures taken in order to achieve online fame, as well as taking some extreme measures of my own. But none quite as extreme as the stunt I came across which inspired this documentary. Lily Phillips, a 23-year-old OnlyFans star living in London who describes herself as an English was planning on hosting an event where she would sleep with 100 of her fans in a single day.
What do you think her endgame is, Chris?
It's hard to say for sure, but it feels like a larger, well-funded effort to push a divisive agenda. By focusing exclusively on Black communities and ignoring systemic issues, they're creating a scapegoat for South Africa's broader challenges. And her complete lack of solutions says it all. But let's talk about how this rhetoric plays into real-world tensions, like those we've seen in Hartbeespoort. Jessica, what do you think the connection is?
The situation in Hartbeespoort, where racial tensions erupted between long-standing Afrikaner residents and newly arrived Black business owners, illustrates the real-world harm of Katlego's rhetoric.
To this now, the Northwest government is investigating alleged racial tensions in Hartbeespoort. It follows allegations that Afrikaans-speaking individuals torched properties belonging to Black-owned businesses to force them out of the area. Businessman Hartley Watu and Hartbees Community Development Russell Baloy join us now for more details on this. Gentlemen, a good evening to you. Thank you so much for joining us on News at Prime. Russell, I'm going to let you go first here. Talk to us about the extent of the damage that was done, and I just want to get, I suppose, the facts around properties that have been burnt and just how serious that situation is.
Businesses owned by Black residents have been targeted and burned, fueled by a narrative that Black people moving into traditionally white areas are somehow ruining them.
Do you know how you can usually tell that this exact lifestyle is coming to a neighborhood near you? Brace yourself, I'm going to say it. You base it on the number of Black people residing in the area. The more
Black
people enter a space, the more likely they are to bring this lifestyle into the neighborhood.
Katlego's words don't just echo these sentiments, they validate them. Her language isn't just commentary, it's bordering on incitement.
We are going to make life better for our Afrikaner community. Why can't we as Black people do the same? How is it okay to just bring out a gun in a neighborhood where there are children, where they can catch stray bullets?
Okay, so continuing to where we are to date, one of the gentlemen that used to come to court to support the very same person who has now been convicted for assault GBH and calling me the K word, has also been found guilty last month for blocking water coming from my yard, passing through his yard. He does not want to have water coming from a Black man's yard, crossing over into his yard. And he pointed me with a firearm. He's just been found guilty. His sentencing is coming up on the 21st of October this month.
How is it okay to just bring out a gun in a neighborhood where there are children, where they can catch stray bullets? How is that okay?
I've been continuously being subjected to racism now in Hartbees.
How is it okay to just bring out a gun in a neighborhood?
Now, two men appeared in court today for the murder of alleged underworld boss Mark Liffman. They were arrested on Sunday. Liffman was gunned down outside the Garden Route shopping mall on Sunday just before noon.
Black people.
Johannes Jacobs and Hadber Zadenot made a brief appearance in the George Magistrates Court.
Black people
under heavy police guard. They've been charged with premeditated murder.
It sounds wrong, doesn't it?
But not much is known about the men at this stage.
Little that we know, but we know one of them was a member of the police, South African Police Service Special Task Force, who left the police sometime in 1998 or between 98 and 99. This is what we are informed.
Black people.
And we don't know what has he been doing since he left the police. But what we know now is working for PPA Security, both of them, in Cape Town as security guards.
And who's in charge of the police? Is it white monopoly capital? Is it apartheid? No, it's a government that looks like you and I.
And Jessica, do you remember the incident involving Nobuntu Mkhize, who racially attacked a colored woman, calling her a colored from Mitchell's Plain? Katlego conveniently never addressed that story, despite branding herself as a concerned citizen. But here, in her latest video, it feels like she's retaliating by targeting Black South Africans from KwaMashu and Tembisa with scathing and generalized attacks.
This area here is called KwaMashu. This one here is Tembisa.
It's like she's pouring fuel onto the fire of existing tensions.
That's a chilling observation, Chris. By choosing to ignore overt racism like Mkhize's attack while doubling down on divisive rhetoric against entire Black communities, Katlego and her team are complicit in perpetuating the very harm they claim to critique. It's like being selective with outrage, validating one form of prejudice while weaponizing another. And when you pair this with her use of fake comments to feign Black support for her views, it's clear this isn't about solutions or accountability. It's about advancing a harmful agenda.
Absolutely, Jessica. By legitimizing these stereotypes, she's providing a framework for prejudice to flourish. When you've got influential voices like Katlego's fueling these narratives, it's not a stretch to see how they translate into real-world violence. And let's be clear, this is not just a South African issue. We've seen similar patterns globally, where rhetoric normalizes discrimination and escalates into outright harm. How do we counter this?
We need to challenge these narratives head-on. Call out the falsehoods, support credible journalism, and amplify voices that promote unity rather than division. This means supporting organizations that work towards community empowerment and fighting systemic injustices. Whether it's contributing to local initiatives that provide infrastructure or education in townships, or backing media outlets that give a platform to underrepresented voices, these actions matter. Together, we can ensure the conversation moves towards constructive change rather than divisive rhetoric. And above all, focus on celebrating the resilience and beauty of South African townships rather than letting them be scapegoats for systemic failures.
That's so true, Jessica. And to our listeners, we ask you, how do we hold channels, like Citizen Concerned, accountable while promoting truth and unity? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you're as outraged as we are, use your voice to counteract this harmful rhetoric. Together, we can challenge divisive narratives and create a more inclusive dialogue.
And thank you for joining us on Rainbow Nation Radio, where we explore South Africa through American eyes. Don't forget to follow us on TikTok, like, and share this episode. Stay curious, stay informed, and stay united. Until next time.